From the Fans Talk Podcast family at fanstalkpodcast.com, this is episode 20 of Fans Talk Lucha and covers Lucha Underground Season 1, episode 30, which aired on June 3rd, 2015. My name is Garvin, and with us, as always, is my wife. Say hello.
Hola.
Now, officially, now that David and Claudia from the Talk TNA podcast canceled their show and stepped down, we can finally lay claim to the only married wrestling podcast team.
High five!
So, thanks to David and Claudia for, giving us the honor, passing the torch. We can finally take that.
We can only hope that one day our torch will burn as brightly as yours.
If you enjoy this conversation, you can take a moment and go to fanstalklucha.com, click the big green button and support the show by pledging a few dollars our way every month on Patreon. Every little bit will help. And apologies to everyone for this appearing in your podcast feed a few days late. We had a busy week thanks to scheduling conflicts caused by work and families. So, thanks families for making us do stuff. All right, so let's go into what happened this week. All right, we started off the week backstage. Cueto asked why Chavo is back in Lucha Underground because Chavo had quit. And he wanted to know why he was there. And Chavo spills the beans basically on his whole relationship with Dragon Azteca and what his job was now with Black Lotus. But he makes it clear that his loyalty is to the highest bidder. So basically exactly what we thought about Chavo as far as him being, a jerk and was going to backstab them because that's what he does. So were you surprised at all?
Oh, no. But what I was surprised about was that he was so forthright about it. And the moment when he said his loyalty was owed to the highest bidder, that was the moment I kind of started to like Chavo just a little bit.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because he was so open about it.
Yeah. No, I can see it.
That.
I can see it.
If you're going to be a bad guy, be unapologetic about it.
Yeah. And theoretically, that is what he said to Dragon Azteca. They had to make that agreement that Dragon Azteca was going to basically clear Chavo's name in Mexico so that, so then Chavo and the Guerrero family would help Black Lotus. So it kind of made sense.
Though, towards the end, Dario Cueto is counting out cash, and Chavo says something along the lines of, "Hey, you don't have to pay me, just protect me from Mexico." No. Yeah. Couldn't he just take the cash and pay off his debts and be done with Mexico?
No, because the debts aren't monetary. Oh. They were...
Oh, they're not like his car note.
No. They, if we are to understand it correctly, I think, Mexico hates Chavo now because Chavo took out Blue Demon. And because of that, that's why he's got this, not a debt to Mexico, but they were just out to get him because they hate Chavo.
Okay,
so.
That makes way more sense.
All right, so the first match was Jack Evans versus Argenis. Cueto interrupted, basically reminding us that Jack Evans lost his first match, while impressive, but he still lost it. Argenis, no one cares about. We can barely pronounce his name.
You can barely pronounce his name, you cracker.
And tries to make the match interesting by offering the winner of the match one of those special medallions. So those medallions were in those little cloth or velvet bags.
It's kind of like you go to Chuck E. Cheese and you win at skee ball and you get a trinket.
Yeah. So we still really haven't seen how that was going to come into play yet.
They also haven't shown the medallion.
No.
For all we know, he was just waving around a bag.
Yeah. So, but anyways, what do you think about this match?
I expected this match to be crappy, like the first match we saw with Jack Evans, but I saw a lot of good mat work and some submissions I've never seen before. So I like that, he comes out, he's all gymnastic and strong and bold, and then it seemed like the first time I saw him, he didn't really do much. But this match, I saw a little more stuff I'm not used to seeing, and I liked it.
Yeah, they really did a good job at developing his in-ring work. Argenis was great.
He's consistently a good wrestler. He just doesn't seem like he's storylined that much.
Yeah, I think my favorite spot of the match was just that awesome flipping armbar weird judo submission that Jack Evans put on. So, and then the finish. The finish was Jack Evans. He basically caught he caught Arrhenius and took him over with not a roll up, but I forget what that pin is, where he grabbed his arms
backwards Archie Deely.
Yeah,
it was very exciting.
It's almost like a crucifix, but not. I know it's called something else, but basically he just took Arrhenius down and then bridged over. So it was like Slinky style how he went over him. It was really cool. I don't know how to put it into words.
It was a clean win too. Yeah. There was really, I don't know, I just enjoyed it. It was a good
match. I'm sure there's a better way to verbally describe that, but if you can pick up
Use
the match,
the power of your imagination.
Yeah, I would probably be terrible at
You're not a
play-by-play.
color commentary, no.
But anyways, check out if you can find it online. I'm sure Lucha Underground released a clip of that match, and it was pretty cool. So, should say that this week was pretty segment heavy. The segments were very long, but we're all getting like new developments and stories that we wanted to see. So it was really cool. One of those was backstage. Daivari was basically very cheerful. Came into the scene with Big Rick and told Big Rick that they, had an opportunity to fight for the Trios Championships. All they needed was a third partner. Rick suggested Mac. Cage walked into the scene and was like, no, don't go with Mac, go with me. And that turns into a brawl. And it's very cinematic how Mac and Cage are fighting. Like they're throwing each other back and forth into, the lockers. And yeah.
Slow-mos, close-ups with the light on their faces. I felt like I was watching a highbrow version of Fight Club.
Yeah, it was like slow-mo, and then there was like a moment where it would pause like right before the impact, and then they would slam into the locker. It was just really, really cool.
It was corny, but it was well done. I liked it.
Yeah, I liked it a lot.
I think it was maybe a little tongue-in-cheek when they filmed it.
Yeah, so Cage stepped in, wanted a shot at the Trios Championship, so that was your team later on in the event. It was Big Rick, Daivari, and they call him Cage. Backstage also, we had Chavo going up to Black Lotus and telling Black Lotus that he talked to Cueto, and she was going to have her first match tonight. And during that match, he was going to distract Cueto, get the key so that they would have access to Matanza, which is Dario Cueto's brother. So
I know they keep saying Matanza, but I hear Manzana and I think, man, I miss Manzana Lift. That was an awesome soda.
If you guys, this is an aside, but if you guys ever go to like Mexico City or are close to Mexico or anything like that, when we were down there ages ago, like whenever that was, maybe 10 years ago, they had this drink. It's made by Coke called Manzana Lift, and it was so delicious.
They had green apple, golden apple, and red apple, like a Macintosh flavor. The most authentic apple soda ever, and I think they might have it at the Coke museums in America.
Yeah, it's not sold anywhere near us. We've looked. I know it's
even on Amazon.
Yeah, it's so hard to obtain, but if you have access to it, definitely.
If any YouTubers could mail us some,
oh yeah,
we would owe you big time.
Diva Jill, you live out in that region.
I think they did have some in Southern California for a while.
Yeah, by that region I mean like the West Coast. She's like
anything that's not Cleveland is West Coast to us.
Maybe you've got like a large Hispanic community around you. I'd imagine maybe you've got.
Well, so do we, but oddly we don't have Manzana Lift.
Oh well, yeah.
It's terrible. Yeah. Injustice. Anyway,
so yeah, Matanza. Yeah, so she was kind of like ready for that fight, and he's like. But before he could tell her what that first fight was, he just went in for an attack. She caught him. It turned into a back and forth fight.
She casually opens the locker door into his face.
Yeah. And this was like pretty much the exact same cinematic style that they had in the previous segment. But it was her versus Chavo, and then she took down Chavo, and then the crew came.
Ugh, the crew.
And she took out the crew because, it's the crew, and that's easy to do. And then... Chavo hit her from behind with... Big
surprise!
But not with a steel chair. It was like...
so it was totally different.
It was, whatever it was called. Kendo stick.
Kendo stick, yeah. So, at the beginning of this segment, supposedly she doesn't know that she's allowed to wrestle in the temple. Yet she clearly has a locker.
Yeah.
How does that work? And second, don't they have cameras in these locker rooms? Because people get beat up and approached all the time.
Yeah.
That would be a really good investment. Just a camera.
Yeah, you gotta put aside like those little
No.
weird storyline gaps.
Never. I can't let these things go.
But yeah, I don't know. It was just you just gotta ignore that.
It was a
sometimes.
good segment, but there was a moment where I thought, why does she have a locker?
Yeah,
What?
why is she in the locker room if she doesn't have a match? No, I get that. That was
Like
was
anyone
weird.
could just walk into these locker rooms. That would be a good place
Except
to
for
mug
Marty the
someone.
Moth. He couldn't do it. He had to do it from the outside
Yeah.
parking lot. So
Maybe he's just not that clever.
maybe. But I like that now everyone knows who Black Lotus is.
And we
Like-
can remember her name.
Yeah, like before, like no one, like everyone pretended like they didn't know who she was or what she was doing. Cueto had like no idea who she was or what she was looking for. Which was a ploy, obviously. Like he knew where his brother was. Now that we know this part of the story, it kind of makes sense. But it's just funny. It's funny that everyone knows who she is now. So yeah, after that, no, hold on. Okay, we're good. After that, we had a match. It was the Trios Championship match. Rick, they call him Cage, and Daivari versus Angelico, Ivelisse, and the Son of Havoc. This is your Trios Championship. What do you think about this match?
This did not happen the way I thought it would.
Go on.
Well, Ivelisse has been so awesome about getting in the ring with her injury, and as I remarked to you during the match, it seems like it's hard to get a day off in this program, so unless you get your arm broken by Pentagon, you're pretty much expected to get your butt back in the ring and be in there. People are always in the ring with tape, these injuries, real and imagined. So in this, I fully expected to see some wrestling from Ivelisse, but the guys were kind of being dicks. They wouldn't tag her in. She went and sat down in the audience.
Well,
I was not expecting that. I thought she'd at least reach out and whack someone with a crutch or something.
yeah. So you've got some conflicts here, though. I mean, so the reason why Ivelisse wouldn't get the time off to heal like a Superfly did, or not Superfly? Superfly. He got his arm broken, didn't he?
Yeah, even
Yeah.
Arhanus took some time off.
Yeah, all those guys took like a week or two off and then were able to come back. But the difference is that she's a champion. So because she's a champion, she has to defend that title if she's required to. So that's the only like major difference. Otherwise, if she wasn't a champion, yeah, she probably could take a few weeks off.
I imagine she wouldn't want the boys wrestling without her, even though that is exactly what ended up happening in this match.
Sure. Yeah, well, and they don't, you don't want to bring Ivelisse in if she's going to not be able to walk around. She could barely walk down the
Not
stairs.
for real, but I was still expecting her to get some kind of something, like throw someone off, out of the ring, or something that wouldn't involve putting her leg at risk.
Yeah,
and we
she
saw
didn't.
nothing.
She didn't get involved, right?
No, she didn't. And in fact, even for her to just sort of march out and sit in a chair was kind of out of character. In the past, she's usually throwing big hissy fits, and
I
she
think
really
she's
didn't do
sat
that.
down at ringside before. Maybe last match or the match
But
before
it was
that.
a minimum of drama. She was
Yeah.
obviously annoyed, but
But yeah, I
not what I
thought it was a very good match.
It
We
was.
saw some good stuff out of Cage. I thought Daivari was much better in this match. So yeah, I was a lot higher on what Daivari was bringing. The match ended with Tejano coming out to distract Daivari, so their feud is still happening, which I guess is okay. But yeah,
some things happened in this match that I want to talk about right now because we're going to talk about them in the
go
next
ahead.
section. Tejano took a... sorry, not Tejano. Cage took a kick to the head from Angelico.
yeah.
And he kind of fell to his knees, and everyone was cheering for that. And then at the end, when Tejano came out, no one seemed to think that was a big deal. They were just like, oh yeah, there's a feud with Tejano.
Right.
And they kept on business as usual. And in the next section, some similar things happened in this next match, but it was treated totally different, not only by announce team, but also by the audience.
Sure.
I think it was weird.
Okay, so let's go into let's make a mental note of that. We'll come back to that in a few seconds. Backstage after this match, Chavo delivered Black Lotus to Cueto. Cueto said that he had a perfect spot for her, and that was across from Matanza. So now she is locked up in a cell. So who knows? Who knows what will happen?
I think they'll probably make friends like people do in prison. They'll probably get like matching tattoos.
Even though she's out to kill him.
Well, yeah, but how many times do you think you don't like someone and then you're sharing...
Then you're stuck in a cell with them.
You're
and
sharing
like,
this... Misery brings people together. Now they both have something to hate Cueto for chaining them up. So now they could become a super angry team.
Yeah, they would have the opportunity to finally like find out what they have in common.
They could open up a dialogue and talk about their feelings and like pass a trust stick back and forth and...
Yeah, and we didn't we don't really know the story. Like maybe she's got it wrong.
It's possible.
Like look at Gotham, right? So Gotham, Kat, she's there and she says that she knows who the killer was, but really she didn't. She thought it was that one dude, and then she like changed the story and it was like another dude, and then she changed the story again. So,
and if Black Lotus was a little girl when these things happened, when you're a kid, how often do you get the story wrong? Yeah. You might think your parents are smoking cigarettes in the den every night, but it turns out they're really smoking weed. When you're a kid, your perspective is just it's so limited. That was totally hypothetical.
Yeah. So I think overall there is opportunity for them to go a different direction with this, but we'll see what happens. But since we don't know the story, we're only assuming that she's like very, very certain that it was him, but it could just be what she was told. Or
we like to hear both sides of a story before we pass judgment.
All right, so the next match, this is the main event, Pentagon Jr. versus Sexy Star in a submission match. So this match, it basically had two things happen that was very similar to the previous match, and that was Sexy Star got kicked in the head, correct?
Correct, by Pentagon.
So, and then everyone was kind of harping on how awful that was.
Yeah, they were saying, that isn't right, but wait a minute. And Helico kicked Cage in the face, and everyone was cheering. And similarly, towards the end of the match, which was not going Sexy Star's way, there was an interruption. Yeah,
Superfly came out. This is the first time we've seen him. He was without the mask because, as we know, Sexy Star won the mask versus mask match and had to unmask him.
He puts her in position for Pentagon to do a submission on her. People are booing and they're yelling that it's not fair. Well, this happens all the time in Lucha Underground, and it happened 5 minutes previously in a different match.
But the scenario is different.
Because Sexy Star is the favorite.
Yeah.
It's favoritism.
Oh, totally.
I don't understand why what's good in one match and people cheer, they boo in another match. What is wrong with you people? Stop being so fickle.
No. Because it's not about like what actions are being taken. It's about who is benefiting from them. And if the jerk is benefiting from them, then obviously the crowd and the commentators who are more of the face technico side are gonna are going to feel a certain way. If it's the face that's doing it, then, they'll love it, because the face is taking advantage of the situation.
There was one announcer, and I'm sorry, I can't always tell.
Matt Stryker.
Okay. Yeah, he said, well, she did sign a contract. She knows what she's getting into. It is Pentagon Jr. And I think that's really the point we need to keep in our heads. It doesn't matter who our favorite is and who's supposedly a bad guy. Anything kind of goes in these rings, and that's what we like about the show. So you can boo all you want, but I thought it was cool.
Yeah, but I
like the surprises. I sometimes like the interruptions.
Yeah, but just think, like, if it's Chavo versus Prince Puma, okay, you like Prince Puma.
Yeah.
If Chavo hit Prince Puma with a chair, you'd be upset.
Well, that's because all Chavo does is hit people with things.
But if Prince Puma hit Chavo with the chair, you'd be like, oh, well, Chavo deserved it.
I wouldn't be upset that Chavo hit Prince Puma with the chair. I'd be upset that he didn't hit him with something more creative.
No. Oh, okay.
It wouldn't be the hitting that bothered me. It would be the tired gimmick that bothered me.
I see. Well, anyways, Pentagon Jr. won. So, won with a submission, of course, and it was pretty cool. It's kind of like a surfboard almost.
This was a great match to watch because, as we've been told, that they work together sometimes as partners outside of Lucha Underground. So they know each other very well, and it was just neat to see the different submissions because they obviously know each other and what they can, the flexibility of the other person, and it was good to watch.
Yeah, it was fantastic. I thought that this by far was the match of the night.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
It was a perfect main event, and I love the story that they're telling. I had my concerns just because this was like a huge unknown for me as a wrestling fan, seeing male versus female, especially in a submission match. So I really didn't know what to expect. I thought Sexy Star looked a little bit, not necessarily schooled in submission, so she was locking them on like halfway. She wasn't completely locking in the submission.
She wasn't getting the leverage.
Yeah,
they talked about that.
Yeah, and they talked about that in commentary.
Like,
so
that's not her strong point.
Yeah, so, but, it wasn't just submissions. They did do a lot of the Lucha Libre high-flying style that we were used to, lots of dives to the outside. So, yeah, overall, I thought this was a great match. I thought the Superfly involvement was good as well, just because it was unexpected. You didn't know what was going to happen. I thought this was cool overall. I'm curious now, like, is Pentagon Jr. and Superfly working together? Or is this just a Superfly is still pissed that he lost his mask and was embarrassed by Sexy Star?
Possibly. There was another surprise, though, at the end of this.
Yeah, so after the match, Pentagon Jr. went to break Sexy Star's arm, which was one of the things that we were predicting last week, if she was going to have his arm broken. You said no. I said maybe, I think. I don't remember what I said, actually, but you said no. And lo and behold, it was no, because Vampiro finally helped. There was that one tease that one time ago.
He got up and then he sat back down again.
Yeah.
Or he just stood there, kind of mouth open.
Yeah, he stood up and he started walking to the ring last time and then didn't do anything. But this time, slid right into the ring, pushed Pentagon Jr. away, and then they had like this weird standoff where it looked like they might go to blows.
It was like a will they, won't they kind of situation. If it had been a romantic comedy, they would have been inches from a kiss.
It was very tense and very cool. And overall, told another great story. Just the eye contact between the two, the tension between the two, the body language. And then Vampiro left, and then the show ended with Vampiro in the back, and he's looking at himself in the mirror, real tense, real serious, and there's like these voices that you can hear playing in his head about like, his past and things that he has said on commentary, such as like, he's done some things that he's not proud of, and he's not like this nice guy, and he's, so lots of stuff like that playing in his head, and finally he leaned right into the mirror and started to smash his head into it, breaking the mirror. It was cool.
So first of all, I can totally appreciate why he would not want to wrestle at that moment. He was not dressed to wrestle. He was wearing jeans. I don't know about you, but horseplaying in jeans, just no. So no hate on Vampiro for not continuing what could have been an awesome wrestling situation with Pentagon Jr. Second, at the end, when he's looking in the mirror and the voices are going on in his head, I don't know if anyone out there watches Twin Peaks. It was so David Lynch at the end, where the very end of the series where Bob is now inside the guy who played Charlotte's husband on Sex and the City. I don't know his name. Kyle MacLachlan. He's in his head and he smashes his face into the mirror and he's possessed by Bob, the demon. It was like watching the same show, but with Vampiro. I loved it.
I don't have any memory of that show, so I never watched it. So that goes over my head, but maybe someone else.
It was great. It was dramatic. It reminded me of some other show that I liked, and it shows that we've got a good storyline coming up with Vampiro.
Oh yeah,
who I've never seen wrestle because I'm not really a wrestling fan, but now I'm excited to see it.
And just the way they shot his facial expressions and like the quick moving camera where it was like almost like he was jittery with anger, and it was just cool. And like, you never really get a good shot of Vampiro's face, but just the tattoos like under his eyes and like how like
I think that was the first time I've seen him full on. Usually we see him in profile interviewing or talking to Matt Stryker. We very rarely see a full on shot of his face.
Yeah. Total badass though. He looks like a total badass now. So I'm excited. I'm excited to see where they go next. I mean, it is being implied that he is going to have a match against Pentagon, or at least, consider it, or maybe I don't know. We'll see where this actually goes.
Maybe when he's wearing more comfortable pants.
Yeah, we'll see where this goes. But, I think it would be kind of cool to have a Sexy Star and Vampiro versus Superfly and Pentagon Jr. match. I don't know if that's where we're going, but that is one direction that could go.
Or even some kind of battle rap. Just anything. It's going to be cool.
So yeah, that was pretty much the show. I thought it was quality. I thought overall it was one of the better weeks for sure.
I really liked it. And was it just me, or was this show a little shorter?
That I can't say. I don't think so. It flew by though.
It felt shorter.
There wasn't really a slow match. There wasn't really a slow segment. Everything worked together very well.
I think I like them best when they weave in the segments with the matches like they did this week. I like it kind of evenly balanced.
Yeah.
I think that the show flows well that way.
Yeah. It was just interesting. Like everything. Everything was pretty cool. So, all right. Wins and fails. What was your win of the week?
My win of the week was cinematography. All of the segments were shot very creatively. And even though I make fun of it and I say it's dramatic and it's a little corny, that's what I love about it too. It's beautiful. It's not like watching wrestling, which usually looks like it was shot in a women's prison. It's like watching good entertainment.
Yeah. My win of the week is going to go to Vampiro. I thought that end segment was great. So, we like to poke fun at Vampiro because of how many times he says brother on commentary. But when he does stuff like this is really sweet. Fail. What was your fail of the week?
The crew. I hate them. They didn't really do anything bad or out of character. It's just my personal prejudice. Stop bringing back the crew. Just let them fade away.
My fail is the fact that Cage interjected himself into that match. I think I would have rather seen Big Mac. Not Big Mac. Just Mac. He's the Mac.
You must be hungry.
And I think they would have had a better chance to win. So, yeah. I would have rather seen Mac wrestle this week than Cage.
But then we would have missed seeing Cage sucker punch him, which was totally out of nowhere.
Oh,
it was
yeah.
very cool.
No, the segment was good, for sure. All right, well, final thoughts before we head out?
None.
I have none either. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the episode as well. I know, again, we are late. We're going to try to do it on time again next week. Actually, it might be out Thursday because we have another weird Friday coming up. So, I don't know. It'll be out. Not Sunday. It'll be out before Sunday for sure.
Don't hold us to that.
Yeah. Don't quote me on that. All right. So for more about us, you can check out fanstalklucha.com. Please consider dropping a few pesos our way over on Patreon if you can. That's patreon.com/fanstalk. And you can also find that by clicking the big green button on the site. All those links as far as how to get in touch with us, how to subscribe so you can listen to all of our, our full archive, either through your favorite podcast catcher or iTunes or Stitcher or whatever you listen through. All that stuff is over on fanstalklucha.com. So that's it for us. My name is Garvin. You heard my wife, and we will talk to you guys next week. Later.
Adios.